In 1350, Mali had a central bank. Europe wouldn't build one for another 600 years. And we have the receipts. While European peasants were trading livestock for bread, battering chickens for cobbling services, and watching their monarchs debase copper coins to fund petty wars, the Mali Empire was operating standardized currency systems, state-controlled lending practices, and gold reserves so staggering they didn't just dominate regional markets, they crashed the entire global economy with a single pilgrimage. This is not mythology. This is not Afrocentric speculation dressed in poetry. This is documented, cross-referenced, and confirmed by Arab scholars, Moroccan travelers, Egyptian court records, and the economic tremors that rippled through the Mediterranean for a decade after one African king decided to take a trip to Mecca. Mansa Musa was not simply rich. He was the architect of the most sophisticated financial state the medieval world had ever produced. And the world spent 500 years trying to forget it. So let us remember it today. Let us say the names. Let us pick the numbers. Let us rebuild what was buried. The Mali Empire did not emerge from nowhere. It was forged over centuries from the ruins of the Ghana Empire, which itself had dominated West African trade since at least the 3rd century of the Common Era. By the time the Mali Empire reached its apex in the 14th century, it stretched across nearly 2 million square kilometers, a territory larger than Western Europe in its entirety. From the salt mines of Togoza in the north to the dense rainforest of the south, from the Atlantic coastline in the west to the Great Bend of the Niger River in the east, Mali commanded an interconnected geography that made centralized economic control not just possible but necessary. The capital, Niamey, sat at the confluence of the Sankorani and Niger rivers, a deliberate choice. Water was infrastructure. Rivers were highways. And Mali's rulers understood that whoever controlled the rivers controlled the commerce. But the true financial heartbeat of the empire was not Niamey alone. It was the city of Timbuktu, founded in the 12th century and transformed by the 13th into one of the most important economic and intellectual centers on the planet. By 1330, Timbuktu housed a population estimated between 50,000 and 100,000 people. It operated a university at Sanko that enrolled 25,000 students. It maintained libraries containing over 1 million manuscripts, thousands of which detailed contracts, trade law, lending agreements, and monetary policy. Timbuktu was not a market town. Timbuktu was a financial capital. The man who brought all of this to the attention of the wider world was Musa Kete I, known to history as Mansa Musa, who ascended to the throne of Mali around 1312. He inherited an empire already extraordinary. What he built upon it was without precedent. Mansa Musa governed an army of between 100,000 and 200,000 soldiers, including a cavalry of 10,000 horses, a military force larger than anything contemporary European kingdoms could assemble and sustain in the field. But soldiers were not his primary instrument of power. Gold was. Mali sat atop the richest gold deposits in the known world. The Bambak and Bure gold fields produced quantities of the metal that made every other producer on the planet look like an amateur operation. Historians estimate that at its height, the Mali Empire controlled between half and 2/3 of the entire world's gold supply. That is not a metaphor. That is a market share. And Mansa Musa did not simply sit on that gold. He organized it, regulated it, distributed it through state-sanctioned channels, and used it as the backbone of a monetary system that would be recognizable to any modern central banker. Here is what that system looked like in practice. Gold dust, called tib, served as the primary currency for large-scale transactions and international trade. The empire minted standardized weights and maintained official measures enforced by state agents operating in every major market. Salt, extracted from Togoza and traded southward, served as a secondary currency for smaller transactions, a deliberate monetary architecture that created a two-tier system capable of serving both elite commerce and daily subsistence exchange simultaneously. This is precisely the kind of tiered monetary structure that modern central banks replicate. Mali was running it in the 13th century. State-controlled lending existed within the system as well. Merchants seeking to fund caravans could access capital through arrangements sanctioned and overseen by royal authority. The state took interest in the profits, controlled the volume of gold entering markets, and used strategic releases and withholdings of supply to manage price stability. When a commodity became too scarce, royal stores released inventory to stabilize trade. When flooding the market served political purposes, gold flowed. This is monetary policy. This is reserve management. This was Mali. And then came 1324. The year that shook the world. Mansa Musa decided to make the Hajj, the Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca, and he did not travel quietly. His caravan consisted of between 60,000 and 80,000 people. He brought 12,000 enslaved servants, each carrying 4 pounds of gold bars. He brought 500 heralds, each carrying a golden staff. He brought 100 camels, each loaded with 300 pounds of gold dust. The total value of gold in that single procession, adjusted for modern equivalents, has been estimated by economists at the University of Michigan and Santa Monica College to be somewhere between $400 billion and $900 billion in today's currency. He was not traveling. He was broadcasting. He was announcing to the world, in the only language power respects, exactly who the Mali Empire was. When Mansa Musa arrived in Cairo, he gave gold away freely. He distributed it to the poor in the streets, to the officials who received him, to the merchants who caught his attention, to the mosque that housed his retinue. He spent and distributed so much gold in Egypt alone that the Cairo economy,